Hello, everybody. I'm so excited to welcome this gorgeous human with us. Her name is Elizabetta Basilico. She is in Italy. She's amazing. She's going to tell us all about wealth and finances, especially related to entrepreneurs. Just to introduce her quickly, she has a PhD in business and finance and is a CFA. She advises entrepreneurs and private investors to create, build, and grow their wealth. She's an author of a book and multiple articles, democratizing finances and investing. She's a mama of a 5-year-old boy and a fur baby dachshund. That just like gets the heartstrings right there. Okay, tell us all about the investment policy statement that you talk about. What is this investment policy? Like, tell us about it. What is it? How can it help us?
Of course. And, first of all, I'm so glad to be here, so excited. I welcome every opportunity to spread financial education and financial literacy, because you should know that financial literacy around the globe is very low. And so if you don't think that you're financially literate, you're not alone. I was fortunate, I think, that through my learning experiences in school and then within the sector, I basically naturally, learn about all these things. But the problem is that schools like elementary schools, intermediate schools, high school, they don't teach us these things. And it's a shame, because they're very, very important, because I say always this: financial literacy and financial education can truly change the course of one's life, and they can lift out of poverty. So, obviously here your audience is entrepreneurs, so, people that are probably very successful in their endeavors. And so what we're going to talk today about, we're going to focus on, is actually the fourth pillar of what I call the wealth journey. The wealth plan journey, because there are, so the four pillars, just very quickly before I dive into the investment policy statement, but just to help you contextualize. So to build wealth, you need an income. And usually I say, it's better to have a diversified stream of income. Typically entrepreneurs are already, ahead of the regular people that are employees. But, it's very important to have diversified stream of income. And then, of course, we all have expenses that are necessary or that are desires. And so it's very important that people learn how to organize their spending habits, build awareness around their spending habits, and through awareness-based budgeting, because income minus expenses equals savings. Once you have your saving, you need to learn how to invest the savings, because if you invest the saving, you're going to create more wealth. And, I always also say, don't leave your savings in a checking account, or even worse, under the mattress, because inflation eats wealth. It reduces dramatically wealth. Just to give a statistics, a dollar 30 years ago is worth 50 cents today. So if someone builds wealth, but it doesn't invest the wealth, inflation will eat away your wealth. And inflation is a concept that's one of 5 basic concepts around that research found are necessary to be considered financially literate. And so why should we invest? We should invest because there is inflation, because we should take advantage of compound interest to build and grow our wealth. So as I say, I typically bring my audience and my clients, my students through this wealth journey. But today, because the audience is entrepreneurs, and I'm sure that, most of them have a basic knowledge around financial literacy, we're going to dive deeper into the last building block of building your wealth, which is investing. So I'm assuming that you do have your savings. You have savings. And what do we do with the savings? I often am asked, what do I do with my savings? And if you have built an emergency fund and you don't have debt that has an interest rate higher than 7%, you're ready to invest. And when you're ready to invest, it's very important that you have an investment policy statement, which
Wow. Okay, that makes yes.
in simple term is a crucial, very important document. I use this analogy. It's like having a written roadmap for your financial goals, or an even more practical analogy is the investment policy statement is a GPS for your investments.
So can you do this on your own, or do you have to go through it to a professional banker? Like how would they?
You know, you can do it either way. You know, it obviously depends on the level of your financial education and sophistication. You know, it's possible that you can do your own investment policy statement. It's advised that you work with an advisor or a banker. And if you have one, and I also say this, and they never talk to you about the investment policy statement, you should go back and say, hey, you know, why didn't we work on an investment policy statement?
Sure, and that's where you come in.
Yes.
Right. Okay, that's making sense. Okay.
And so I also say this, and specifically because your audience is entrepreneurs. Typically, entrepreneurs have manuals of operations, because a successful company, a successful venture hardly ever is able to sustain and live for many years, you know, be successful for many years without manuals of operation. And entrepreneurs understand this. They understand the importance. I work with many entrepreneurs. They're full of manual of operation. And when they start working with me, I ask, do you have your manual of operation around your investments? And 99% answer, no, I don't. Because it's something that we don't think it's important when we invest. Instead, the investment policy statement is important and essential for long-term success. Because, first of all, it provides clarity and consistency. And through the process of writing down this document, you will be amazed at how much clarity and how much awareness and how many haha moments you have, because, you know, you're writing down guidelines that will help you navigate the markets, the investments, bankers, advisors that are coming to you with proposals. But if you have this document, you will be ready to tackle in a disciplined, systematic, rational way anything that happens around your investments. In fact, another reason why the investment policy statement is very important and essential for the long-term success of your investment, it's because it helps to prevent what I call emotional investing. And emotional investing means panic selling in downturns or reckless buying in booms. And it happens a lot more often than we think about it, because we are human, you know.
Sure.
I often find myself, and I'm a financial professional, caught about the emotions, and then I go back to my manuals, to my knowledge, to my skills, to my frameworks, and I remind myself that I have to stay rational. But it's totally normal. And the investment policy statement, or this manual of operation, these little documents, and by the way, it could be 1 page long, 5 page long, 5 page long, 10 pages long. It depends on the situation, you know. There are templates, and I do have a template that I am happy to share with those who will reach out to me. But there is no one size fits all. It really depends on the personal situation of the investor. There are sections that are standardized, but not all sections need to be in every financial policy investment policy statement. So it really depends on whether you're a beginner, an intermediate, or an advanced investor. But the two main points that I want to leave your audience with is invest time and effort in preparing your investment policy statement, no matter how long or how short it will be, because it will give you clarity, it will prevent emotional investing, it will give you consistency. And if you are or will be working with advisors or bankers, it will act as a communication tool, and it will also act as a communication tool with your family, because it's important to involve the whole family around your investments. Typically entrepreneurs tend to keep everything for themselves. And especially for wealthy families, there is a staggering statistics that says that the wealth amassed by the visionary entrepreneur of the family is destroyed within 3 generations.
Oh my goodness.
And oftentimes is as simple as they didn't have an investment policy statement. They didn't have rules written down. It was all disorganized and not, well checked and safeguarded, that, unfortunately, the new generation weren't educated around the world on how it was built, how to manage it. There weren't rules about how it should be either kept together or divided. So there's all science around this. But unfortunately, the majority, and I don't have an answer why, gets destroyed by the 3rd generation.
Wow. Wow, that is incredible. So is there anything else that you can share? Maybe an example of something that
yes.
that's like on your template, because I would really like to drop your template in the description below as well. Then people can reach out to you. So like just a couple of examples of
Yes.
what kind of things that you would put in this document.
Yes. So let me give you, I'm thinking, well, I'll give you the main section as example of what typically will need to go in an investment policy statement. So you typically start with the mission and the goals of the mission, the goal, and the scope of the investment policy statement. So, starting with the scope, you typically say, okay, this document is the investment policy statement that manages or is related to this type of wealth, the wealth of entrepreneur, or of Joe Smith, or Joe Smith and his family, including his wife, his kids, and it is all the guidelines around these accounts or this trust or this holding, depending on the vehicle that you have. The wealth was created by Joe Smith through his entrepreneurship journey, blah, blah, blah. And the mission is it could be guarantee a comfortable lifestyle to Joe Smith and his family, or it could be to guarantee the lifestyle plus to secure the future of the next generation. And it could be to allow a comfortable lifestyle plus secure the future of the generation. And some people also add the philanthropy. So, missions can be different. So this is the general part: mission, goals, and scope. Then there is an important section that is especially for structured family. So for, not for the single family entrepreneur, but I'm talking about, family of entrepreneurs. You want to have a governance. So who decides what, who is in charge of what, who does what. So, for example, the investment policy statement is written by Joe Smith, who is the owner of the wealth, with the help of advisor so-and-so. But Joe Smith is the ultimate decision maker for any investment. In other cases, could be that, it's written, in conjunction by Joe Smith and the advisor has or the banker has ultimate decision power over the investment. It depends on the level of trust that you give and the level of, so the governance is about setting all these rules. And you can also, it could go into so much as, say, I give this example, you have ex-wives, and you could have the case where you wanna one of your ex-wives involved in this or not involved in this. And so you can write down all these things that are more personal and family oriented. And you can say that, oh, if a daughter-in-law or a brother-in-law comes into the family, I don't want anything to do, I don't want them to have anything to do with the management of this wealth, or differently. And I know these aspects can be controversial and uncomfortable, but again, sometimes, especially for extended family that have ownership on the wealth, it's better to write them down than not. And, always remember that this is a living document and things can change. I always recommend at least once a year you review your investment policy statement. So these are
it's basically like a will for your business.
Yeah.
People, there's no confusion when you pass on exactly what's going to happen. That's awesome. That's awesome.
So these are the more general part. And then you go into the meat of the investment. So a very important section of the investment policy statement is where you decide your investment quantitative goal, return goal, your risk preferences, which then will determine your asset allocation. So, work that I do with my clients is to help them with specific metrics, and I'm not gonna go into the details because it's more, quantitative, but so I use, for example, and every advisor has its own, but I use ways to feel the pulse of the risk tolerance of my clients. Okay, because obviously everybody will tell you, oh, I want to make as much as possible out of my investment. And then I come back and I say, okay, are you comfortable seeing at any time during the next year a -10, a -15% in your account, even if it's for just a couple of days or a week or a month? Are you comfortable? Will you stay the course and not react with a panic attack and sell everything at the worst possible time?
Sure.
So, you have conversation with your clients, in my case, but we will write down that the goal of this wealth that is governed by this investment policy statement is to make, let's say, 5% per year or 7% per year with a risk tolerance of X. Once we have determined those numbers, myself or other people will define an asset allocation. So there's a way to calculate how much you should put in equities, how much you should put in bonds, how much you should put in real estate, how much you should put perhaps reinvest in your business, how much you should put in commodities, etc. So that part of the investment policy statement is very important. Sorry, my dog.
No worries. That's your baby. Hello, fur baby.
So in this section, you put again your investment return goals, your risk tolerance, your asset allocation, and anything that you want your future self, your advisor, your family members to know. Like there's people that say, I have certain values and I don't want to invest in certain things.
Sure.
So because there's people that want their investment aligned with their values and their mission. So like think about, I don't know, I always give the most simple example, like tobacco companies. There's people that say, I don't, I
Sure.
want that out of my portfolio,
Yeah.
or, I'm an animal lover and I don't want any company that does, testing with animals. So these are just some of the examples. So in this section, you can also write all these guidelines so that, again, because of course, if you are managing your own investment and you are the ultimate decision maker, you
Mhm.
want to write down these things just so that, they're clear in your head. But again, imagine how useful could be this manual if you need to communicate these things to your advisor. And imagine you change your advisor, you already have a document that you can use to communicate. And the advisor is just not, it's not just they heard you say it, they know they have a document, it's signed by you, and you can keep them accountable and
Sure.
measure them in their work if they're doing well or not. So, I wanted to make so say I wanted to make this point where if I had to answer the question, how can investor use an investment policy statement? Of course, it depends. For beginners, it can be very simple, and I recommend start simple and you just write down your financial goals, your time horizon. So time horizon is another important, parameter to think about. Are you a long-term investor? Which, by the way, you should be, because
Mhm.
being short-term investors will not maximize the potential of wealth building that investment can give you. Okay, because you make money the more patient you are, especially, if you make the right decision at the beginning because you have built clarity and you have a nice investment policy statement, you determine an asset allocation that's aligned with your risk tolerance, then you should be a long-term investor, and don't let the noise of the financial market bother you when there are turbulences. But again, if you are a beginner, just start simple. Obviously, for experienced investor, you can add section like rebalancing rules. So in the investment policy statement, when it comes, sorry, I said you have your quantitative goals in terms of return, risk, asset allocation. Then you're gonna move a step further and say, okay, now I have all this. How do I implement my money? How do I invest my money practically? How do I implement my portfolio? And so there is where you become a little more details in, okay, I'm going to invest in mutual fund. I'm going to invest in a index fund. I'm going to invest in exchange traded funds. And if I have an asset allocation where my target is to have 50% in equity. Equity go up, like in 2024, the equity market, did very well because the S&P was up 25%, the global markets were up, almost 20%. So obviously that 50% probably became, 60%. And so you should also be diligent in rebalancing your portfolio. So, if you have a target allocation of 50% and you now have above a range of 5%, I would say you want to rebalance. So you want to sell some equities and buy into other asset classes that perhaps did less well. And so you rebalance your overall portfolio in terms of percentages. So again, write down these rules, because if you don't write them down, you're going to forget. And then you're gonna go in misalign, you're gonna lose the alignment with your risk preferences. So again, there is a section where, if you're a little bit of a more advanced or, even intermediate advanced investor, you want to write down when you're going to rebalance your portfolio. And then how do you gonna monitor? So there are metrics that, you know, just by looking at the return of your portfolio, and you can look at the return of your portfolio, and if you have a benchmark, you can say, oh, did I do better or worse than the benchmark? And if you did worse, why is that? And then you can go deeper, and or someone else can go deeper, but you can write down your guidelines, especially if you have an advisor that is picking strategies and funds for you, and say, okay, I want to make sure that every year my funds, or every 3 years, my fund beat the benchmark. And if they don't, I need to reevaluate that money manager because he didn't do his job, because you end up paying for, you know, the vehicles that you invest in. And so, you know, and you could say, I'm going to invest passively versus actively. And for those of you who are not, you know, don't know what this means, is that there are in the investment world, there are investment vehicles that just replicate an index of, let's stay simple, in the universe of stocks. So you want to invest in the global markets. The best index you can use is it's called the MSCI World Index, and it encompasses more than 3,000 stocks, and it covers all the world. And you can find index funds or ETFs, exchange traded funds, that just, what they do, their job is to just replicate that universe. And they typically cost a small amount in terms of fees. And those are the tools that I highly recommend using when you're investing in equities, because markets are efficient. At the same time, there is a load of money manager that will tell you, oh, out of those 3,000 stocks, based on my frameworks, theories, algorithms, I'm able to select 300 out of 3,000, and I promise that these 300 will do better than the overall index. And for this, I'm going to charge you extra. But the sad truth is that very few are able to do this job of outperforming the global markets year in and year out. But, you know, there are some investors that think that, or some advisors that think that they are good at picking these strategies and this money manager. And so you may have in your investment policy statement a rule that says, okay, I'm going to give you the benefit of the doubt to select manager that will do better than a passive index fund. But I'm going to observe you for, you know, give it at least 3 years. But if after 3 years or 5 years you don't see value added, you should have the rule that I'm gonna dismiss this strategy and move back into something else or passive indices. And, you know, keep your advisor accountable, because, you know, they, you know, ultimately they're charging your money, and any money that you spend for this strategy is return that you are leaving on the table if they don't do their jobs. So all these things are things that you can write into your investment policy statement. So it's how you function as a family, your governance, your mission, your investment goal, your risk tolerance, how you implement the portfolio, and how you're going to evaluate advisors, money manager, if you go that route and you're not doing everything yourself.
Wow, that was so much to think about. Oh my goodness, that is so lovely. Like, just to rewatch this, to really take it in. You gave us so much information. Thank you so much for that. I want to just tell the audience that Elizabetta is offering everyone to join her newsletter as well as her Telegram group, because she's going to give you so much support in how to organize your finances, your savings, your investments. And of course, if you want that template, that free template she was talking about, we're going to drop that in there for you as well. So really go into the description, go check her out, go follow her on socials. I will drop her social media link there as well so that they can follow you. Is there anything else you want to add to wrap it up? I'm definitely going to do a.
Yeah, I'm gonna leave your.
There was a lot of information. It was amazing, so interesting.
So I'm gonna leave your investors, your audience with this. Remember that income, no matter how it is, it's not a good measure of your net worth. Net worth is another word to, say wealth. So your income is not your income is, I should say it properly. Income, no matter how high it is, it's not a good measure of your financial stability. Net worth is, which is wealth. Net worth is equal to wealth. And wealth or net worth is the difference between your assets and your liabilities. And so I often say to my community to first calculate, if you don't know what your net worth or wealth is, calculate it. You just sit down and you take your assets and you subtract your liabilities and you know where you are at. And of course, if you follow me on social media or you are in my Telegram chat, I recently dropped averages / median values of the, net worth that you should have at each age to be considered financially stable. And I also say, if you find yourself below those numbers, don't panic. There's always time to, start building wealth, because the other thing that I want to leave you with is the best time to start investing was 30 years ago. The next best time is today.
Today, right?
So,
right.
you're not late, and so I think that is a powerful message. And then in regards to the investment policy statement, so this manual to get organized and to be more clear on what your goals are and to achieve them, to maximize. Remember that this was a quote, it's a quote that I love, and it was said by Louis Pasteur, who's a French chemist, but he said, chance favors only the prepared minds. So if you are prepared, and being prepared means having these systems, you're gonna do very well and you're gonna be ahead of 99% of people.
Sure, absolutely. So interesting. Oh my goodness, you've got a wealth of information. Thank you so much for coming on the show.
No problem.
Just excited to have interviewed you. It was unbelievably informative. That's it. Thank you very much. And
you're welcome.
See you soon again. I'd love everyone to go and follow you and really be informed. Just you brought the awareness, and now just taking it a step further and really just putting it into practice. I love that so much. Thank you so much for everything.
You're welcome. Thank you.
And I'll see you soon. Keep well, Angel. Bye.
Okay, bye.
Bye-bye.